When I was asked to, I also have a podium, just like the theme today. When I was asked to speak here, I said, yeah, sure, it's going to be amazing. And then a few weeks later, I got the agenda, and I was looking through, and I'm like, I have to follow Ellen Campbell? I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so I'll do my best to still inspire, hopefully, and whatever. Thanks. So, I'm a pretty ironic person, not a hipster, but I'm still ironic. And I guess, so here's some funny things about me. Number one, I hate motivational speakers. I explained this to the organizing committee, and they shared my vision, so thank you. And number two, I really like Quentin Tarantino movies. So what I want to do today is hopefully not motivate anybody. I'll explain what I mean later. So I hope to not motivate anyone. And two, even though I'm pretty well the same age as you are, I feel like an old guy a lot of the time, so I'm going to ramble on about just some stories, if that's okay. And hopefully, my ramblings will not lead to any motivation whatsoever. So, thank you for the great introduction. It's pretty humbling to be here to present in front of a few hundred young people, and not so young people, but young at heart people, I'm sure. I've had my business for, we're in our third year now. This year, hopefully, God willing, we'll do somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million of revenue. Does that sound cool to anyone? So, it just means we pay a lot of tax. Anyway. About 3 years ago, there's actually a number of people who are in the audience today who attended this event with me. And you can check the video on YouTube if you want, so I don't have to go into it in any sort of detail. But about 3 years ago, I was the closing presenter at TEDx Youth Ottawa, which was the first ever TEDx Youth event that had ever been held. Amazing. And it turned me into some odd sort of youth celebrity locally. So that helped, but more importantly, what was really interesting was that I was literally just starting the business at the time. And so I get to go back and I get to watch this video on YouTube of myself talking about how I wanted to do all these things and what it would be like if we accomplish our goals and what the challenges for youth are and all this stuff. And then so to go from there to now, it's pretty inspiring for myself to see myself being a motivational speaker 3 years ago. So I said I was going to Tarantino, and any great Tarantino movie, I just set the stage, and now we're going to go back to the beginning. Before I go back way to the beginning, though, I want to go back to about a year ago. As was introduced, we get to work with some really amazing, very notable brands and organizations, a lot of business in Toronto and across Canada, some clients in the States. And about a year ago, I just wasn't feeling overly fulfilled, I guess, in the work that we were doing. I mean, it's great to do cool work. We get to build Facebook apps and awesome websites and mobile stuff, and I mean, it's all awesome, but there's that missing sense of purpose that my partners and I felt were not in our business. So if you go back to our corporate blog, socialgroup.com, SOSHALGroup.com/blog, shameless self-promoting as well, you can find a post from probably a year ago where we made a commitment where we said we were going to try and work and see if we could create social change. And what the social change idea was that we were going to try and work to see if half of our revenues could come through working with clients who had a purpose other than just selling widgets, cars, whatever it is. That idea seemed ludicrous at the time. 100% of our revenue was made up of working with clients, like brands who are trying to sell all of you things, which is still great. I love selling people stuff, but there has to be purpose. So I looked at our spreadsheets this morning, where we break down all of our revenue by category. 30% of our revenue comes from working with healthcare clients. 25% from higher education institutions, and 10% from nonprofit charitable organizations. So that's 65%. So we actually have exceeded our goal in a year to have more than half of our revenue come from clients that have a purpose. And around the same time that we said we wanted to have clients that have a purpose, we also changed our mission. We used to have these really crazy statements like, we are the best digital innovators that exist, and blah, 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 blah. And some people like that, I guess, but it's really empty. It's a really empty statement. So we changed our mission statement to, we want to architect opportunities for our clients, our team, and our community. Doesn't say anything about what we do, doesn't say anything about what we're going to do, other than we want to help people achieve awesome stuff. Obviously, for our clients, we have to help them achieve goals so that they can keep their jobs as people, not as brands. Our team, made up of young people, the average age of people who work at our company is about 25. They have to have opportunities to grow. And most importantly for our community, how can we help our community? Well, we're pretty busy people, and we're still a business that's for profit, makes money. We didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of charitable and philanthropic work, but what we realized is we just put a focus on working with charitable organizations and with people who are doing good, that we could still get the same sense of fulfillment. Anyway, I'm now rambling, and I said I was going to go back. So I grew up in a really small town called Munster, Ontario. Has anyone ever heard of Munster? What's Munster most famous for? Yes, Saunders Farm, which I worked at from a very young age for 13 years, I think, because I still help out. So I've been like 13 years there now. And they're pretty inspiring people there, and they gave me a lot of opportunity when I was young. You know, small family-run business, rapidly growing, and I got an opportunity to kind of take on management roles at a young age, and just do a lot of crazy things, like build these enormous corn mazes and whatever. But that's a brand that also has a sense of purpose, and that's kind of where I got to learn a lot of how I feel about how business should be conducted. And just as a shameless plug, but a really important aside, tonight, if anyone goes to Saunders Farm, $5 from every admission is being donated to the Youth Service Bureau of Ottawa in Jamie Hughley's memory. So I definitely. Where the Scaring is Caring initiative, which we helped work on, came to be and led into a lot of my philosophies on how business should be run now. So anyway, I had this really cool opportunity as a young person to work there and do lots of really interesting, amazing things, meet really great people. And then as I started to get older, I realized that I had like the entrepreneurial bug or itch or whatever you want to call it. So who else here feels that they have that kind of, not necessarily that you want to start your own business, but just like you sometimes find working for other people frustrating? Yeah. Sometimes your ideas aren't always listened to. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes people are like, oh, the kid should stay quiet over there. Luckily, that wasn't always my situation. Like I said, I was pretty lucky and I had really great bosses and stuff. But I definitely get that. And I think for me, the idea of entrepreneurship is a little bit more holistic than just starting a business. Like there's a big movement towards entrepreneurship. The idea that if you're working for someone else, you can still be entrepreneurial within a company that you're working for. And as we heard today, it's not 10 years from now that you have to start thinking that way. You have to start thinking that way today. Or you should have been starting to think that way last year or 5 years ago. And here's why. Because whose cell phone is the camera? No. Okay. So you have to start thinking that way a few years ago. And the reason is quite simply that if you don't, you're not going to form the work habits and the ideas and the methodologies around how you as an individual need to architect your own opportunities. And I think when people ask me how we've been able to achieve success in business, or myself as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur. It's all about just finding opportunity and architecting it, because I didn't come from a very privileged background. I worked on a farm my whole life. I never thought that the internet and smartphones and these kinds of technologies would be so integral to my day-to-day work. And I had a pitchfork and a chainsaw. Like, that was literally it back then. So what you all need to understand is that the real opportunity that is in front of you is tomorrow. And it's not a year from now, and it's not when you're done university or college, and it's not when you enter the workforce, and it's not after you've been there for 5 years or 10 years. It's tomorrow, because the work ethic or the ideologies that you need to develop to succeed need to happen immediately. When people ask, what's it like to be an entrepreneur, a lot of people have like these really stereotypical answers. Oh, it's ups and downs, and it's hard, and firing people is hard, hiring people is hard, making money is hard. Yeah, of course, like, duh. So, but what is really hard is what I was talking about earlier about finding your purpose. So, first thing, you have to start tomorrow. And what you're going to do tomorrow is you have to find what your purpose is. What it is that you can do in your everyday lives, in your work, that's going to change someone's world. Not everyone's world, just someone's, one person's. Because if you can start with that, then you can change the next person, and the next person, and the next person around you. When we were planning what I was going to talk about as the keynote, I started rambling, as I do, which I'm doing now. I started rambling about this idea that I look at my life in a financial term as if I can't wake up tomorrow and make $10 more than I did the day before, that you're never going to make $1 million down the line or $10 million down the line, because you don't wake up one day and people start throwing money at you. You wake up and you try and make $10 more the next day. And hopefully those $10 allow you to buy lunch. And then the next day, you try and make $20, and $30, $40, and so on and so forth. And if you do that over enough days consistently, then you wind up in a pretty good situation paying a lot of tax.